you can identify a perpetrator and we can identify who violated human rights. I think the other question was on gaps in the assemblies. So you'll note that Article 37 of the Constitution provides for the right to assemble. But it's one of the articles of the Constitution that has not been operationalized through an act of parliament. It is just in the Constitution. And remember, sometimes the Constitution cannot self-implement. You need legislation to implement specific articles of the Constitution. There's been various attempts to have a law that deals with demonstrations. And you've seen there's been hue and cry on some of the provisions of those specific laws. And I think the last two have been withdrawn. We've had proposals to amend the Public Order Management Act to include issues of demonstrations. Again, the public have raised issues with those specific laws. So what the Commission is doing, and we've started conversations. We've had meetings with the Law Society of Kenya, with the police, with IPOA, with civil society organizations, with Parliament. And we have agreed on the parameters that we need to work on to ensure that we operationalize Article 37 of the Constitution. So that is where we are. It is not just the Commission working on this particular legislation, but it's a concerted effort by various stakeholders, because this is an issue that requires public ownership, citizenry ownership, for us to agree that as a country, this is what we want to see in terms of Article 37 being implemented. I think lastly was on the issue of the list and whether we have figures. As I mentioned, right now we cannot say we have figures. We have information from the Commission on what we have collected for 2017, 2024, and 2025. We have called in the government agencies to bring us their lists. Once we consolidate this, we will have a list from government agencies, which does not need verification because it's already been verified. But the list that we have called out for from civil society and the citizenry is what we will now verify, we will consolidate and verify. So at the end of this process, we will have one full list that will capture information that was already there, but also information that we will now be collecting so that we submit it as one document. I hope that's clear.
Okay, so we're going to have a photo as the Commission receives the report. Okay, just one. Okay, any other question? Just two. Take two more. Okay, those two. You and then half, and then we are done with the questions. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam. Maybe how soon do you expect this bill to be in operation? Because we know very well in Kenya, we do have each and every time contest, and again, maybe Gen Z may be grouping or planning maybe to have something of that time. So how soon do you expect this to be placed? And maybe lastly, how are you prepared, or have you encountered any cases in reference to this of a family who does not or may decline or may reject this competition? Maybe how would you deal in such a case? Because the family may say you can't maybe exchange forever. If you are prepared or you encountered, how would you deal in such a case?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. The last one.
My name is Safiti from Citizen. I have two questions. First is just to follow up on one of my colleagues who asked if you can share with us numbers so far. Jan was mentioned it's a long list, so how long is long? If you have details on how far, probably what we are looking at in terms of the cases we have received as of now. And the question I wanted to ask touches on what action are you planning to take against those who will file false claims? We spoke about it, but very briefly, I just want to get on that. And have you set parameters probably that would make a claim meet the threshold of compensation when it's clearer for members of the public who want to file those claims?
Okay.
I think I'll go first. I would say this, that as a committee, remember one of the 10-point agenda issues is leadership and integrity, and then the other is war on corruption. We would like to request Kenyans that as you are keen on collective war on corruption and leadership and integrity, cases of fraudulent claims for compensation actually should not arise, because the issue of leadership and integrity is not a question of government agencies alone or duty bearers, even citizens. Now, as a committee has been going around the country, every corner of this country, every county of the 47, the issue of compensation is crucial. And so I agree with the chair to the commission when she says that they may not just yet have the numbers, and that's why they are compiling the lists from various government agencies, including from the police. Remember, too, that those that will be victims of compensation are not just citizens. They are police officers who may have been injured while discharging their duties. So those too will be victims of compensation who may have suffered injuries, death, whatsoever. So I think that's one thing that we want to make clear as we guard or as we appeal to citizens not to use this opportunity to lodge fraudulent claims at the Commission.
Thank you. I think I'll just pick up from there and to confirm that for now we can't give you a number because we do not want to give you a number. Then tomorrow when the number is bloated, it will be said that the Commission has increased the numbers. We want to verify the information so that when we give out the number, it is of victims who have been verified through the various mechanisms. One of the things we've also put in place is an appeals process. For those who will bring their information and we feel they do not meet the threshold, they have an opportunity to appeal to that particular team. And if the appeals team verify their claims, then they'll be included in the list. So for now, we cannot give you a certain number. We will only have the number once the process is clear. On the issue of false claims, the law is very clear. If you, first of all, utter a false document, you forge documents, you will be prosecuted. But if you also give false information, you can be prosecuted and under the penal code. So what we are doing is the police is on alert for anyone who will be suspected of giving false information. We will hand them over to the police to take them through the court process. And as has been mentioned, that is why we have experts who will help us to verify the documentation. The doctors will help us to verify medical reports, and the police will help us to verify reports that were made to the police. So that will help us to weed out the false claims. Then there was a question about the bill taking long. Remember, we have said that there are two processes that we are doing. There's the bill or the framework, reparations framework, that is very comprehensive, that will have to go through Parliament for adoption. So we will submit that. But we are also submitting a guide on compensation. So the guide on compensation will address the current need to fast track the compensation bit of it. But the legal process of developing a framework will be ongoing. But within the 60 days period that we've been given, we will submit both the documents. So on the side of the Commission, we will have finalized our mandate and hand it over to Parliament or to the institution that is required then to move the process forward. Then just remember that the issue of reparations is a voluntary process. You cannot force people to take compensation if they do not want. So that is why we are calling out for those who want to be in the list. And they will also sign a consent form for them to be included in the list for compensation. So for those who do not want, maybe they are comfortable with an apology, that is still reparations, and we are hoping that as Kenyans, we can look at this thing holistically and not just as a compensation issue. So those are the issues that, that were asked, and I think I've answered all of them.
There's one follow-up, just one.
So I'm wondering about the place of judiciary in this whole process. Have you about the issue where the case is going to the team and then make a decision on a particular matter and then it's again challenging court? How do you go about that?
I think it's everyone's right to go to whichever platform or whichever institution they want justice from. For us, remember, we are not dispensing justice in that sense of, hearing your case and determining that someone is guilty, someone needs to pay you. We are looking at this as a process of righting a wrong that happened. Even the threshold is totally different. For the ones who have already gone to court, the court has a system of hearing evidence and making awards. If they receive awards from the courts, I think it can be referred that they already received compensation from this particular process, so that there's no duplication of someone receiving an award through the court process or through the, through this particular process. For the court process, ideally the aim is to find someone guilty of having violated someone's rights. But if we had included this person in this list of compensation, our duty is to inform the court that this person has already been compensated. So the court may just find the perpetrator guilty, but on the bit of compensation, our role is to inform the court that this has already been done. I hope that's...
If somebody make a decision on someone saying, I want this amount of money, and they say, you got enough for the wrong that was done on my child or something.
It's what we are doing. We are using proper guidelines on compensation. So someone cannot come and say this is not enough, because it's not an amount it cannot bring back the person. It cannot take you back to where you are. It's just a way of saying pole. So it will never be enough. It will never be enough. It's just an amount to, make it easier for you as you go through the process of dealing with a loss. And that's how we are taking it. And that's the whole essence of reparations, to repair what was wrong. And remember, when you're repairing something, you don't go back to the original position. It's just a way of making things slightly easier or better for you.
Okay, thank you. The Commissioner can now receive the report.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. And thank you to your team for the support to the Commission.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. That's the end of our press conference. We'll allow the team to continue their meeting.
To appeal who have been verified through the various, because we do not want to give you a number. Then tomorrow when the number is bloated, it will be said that the Commission has increased the numbers. We want to verify the information so that when we give out the number, it is of victims who have been verified through the various mechanisms, with the police, with IPOA, with civil society organizations. One of our recommendations is to of ensuring closure for them to know that probably their people died and they cannot be traced, but also that the
kwa mashirika yasiyokuwa ya kiserikali kwamba waweze kuleta ripoti hizo kwa kamati ili kwamba waweze kujumuishwa kwa ile orodha ndefu ambayo kamati iko nayo.
Okay, thank you. I'll respond in English. The first question is what will the Commission do, especially for